The inn stood slightly away from the village. Small, clean, and always quiet. It wasn't the kind of place where dramatic things happened. Every morning, the innkeeper cleaned the inn, checked the stew and the hearth, and polished the bowls. He didn't speak much, but his silence felt warm rather than cold. With few guests, his days were quiet and predictable. A rhythm he had long grown comfortable with. One evening, as the sun slipped behind the hills, a lone mercenary stepped inside. Dusty boots, tired eyes, and a silence heavier than the air around him. He spoke only once. A room, one night. The innkeeper nodded, noticing the mercenary's trembling hands and his averted gaze. By the fire, the mercenary exhaled slowly. A breath that sounded like he'd been holding it for months. He asked for a single drink and held the cup with a careful grip. The warmth softened the stiffness in his shoulders. After a long silence, he finally spoke again. "I've spent my whole life fighting," he murmured. "More battles than any man should endure." He explained that while others pillaged freely, he never touched the fallen. He wanted no blood. He didn't need to spill. For the first time in years, he said softly, "I was finally heading home." But bandits emerged from the roadside. He fought only to survive. And one of them died by his blade. The one who died was the youngest among them. A few nights later, on the outskirts of a small village, a poor but kind villager offered him a corner of his room. "It's better to keep out of the wind," the man said with a gentle smile. The next morning, he learned the truth. The villager's younger brother was the bandit he had killed. He said his brother had been a good young man, but hunger after the failed harvest pushed him to theft, and he hadn't been able to stop him. "I've ended many lives," he said, "but this one won't leave me." The innkeeper didn't try to comfort him. He simply listened, steady, present, and kind. "I don't know why this man troubles me so deeply," he whispered. "Why him? Why now?" Sometimes, the innkeeper murmured, The smallest regret is the XD one that stays the longest. They sat together in the soft glow of the fire, sharing a silence that felt strangely warm. The mercenary set down his empty cup. A small, wordless farewell. At dawn, he packed quietly and nodded once. Then he stepped back onto the long road. The inn grew quiet again, but the silence felt subtly changed. The innkeeper looked at the empty seat and murmured, "There are wounds that don't bleed." The wind brushed against the lonely inn, and the innkeeper returned to his gentle routine, carrying with him a stranger's quiet grief. At dawn, snow fell softly over the mountains. He rose from his resting place, beneath a pine tree, shaking the frost from his coat. Another traveler was on the road. He felt it before he saw him. He stepped out of the drifting snow, silent, steady, without menace. The pilgrim flinched at first, but the dog simply stood there, breathing warm clouds into the cold air. He knew these mountains in winter, the hidden valleys, the sudden storms, the wolves that grew hungrier in the cold. And he sensed the weight in the traveler's steps. The pilgrim, nervous but kind, tore a small piece of bread and tossed it gently toward him. The dog lowered his nose to it, sniffed once, and left it untouched. He lifted his head instead, eyes steady. Yes, this was the one he would follow today. He stepped in front of the pilgrim, shook the snow from his coat, and began walking. Not begging, not asking for anything, just choosing. The road disappeared under falling snow, but the black dog never hesitated. He walked a path only he knew, glancing back now and then to make sure the pilgrim still followed. In the quiet snowfall, man and dog walked together, not as owner and beast, but as to travelers, passing through the same season of loneliness. The snow grew heavy. The light faded. The road disappeared, The pilgrim tightened his cloak, and the black dog slowed. Hearing what the man could not. As the wind grew harsh, the dog guided the pilgrim to a small cave, just large enough for the two of them to take refuge. They stepped into the cave together, leaving the snow and the cold behind. Inside the cave, neither of them spoke. One because he could not, the other because he didn't need to. Snow battered the cave's mouth, but the dog kept his eyes open. He watched the white world outside, ears twitching at every shift of wind. The pilgrim fell asleep first. The dog remained awake, as he always did when someone needed him. By morning, the storm had passed. Only a thin veil of snow drifted down, soft enough to melt on their cloaks. The black dog rose first, stretching stiff legs, ears turned toward the path below. The pilgrim followed, still half dreaming, still warmed by the quiet breath that had kept him company in the night. When they reached the ridge, the monastery appeared, quiet, distant, its stone walls pale beneath the morning snow. The pilgrim felt relief wash over him. He turned to thank the dog. But the black dog was already walking away, his paws silent on the soft snow. He did not look back. He never did. He simply disappeared into the white morning, as if the night were merely a wandering spirit's brief duty. The pilgrim stood at the gate, hands folded in silence. He whispered a small prayer. Not for himself, but for the black guardian who had walked beside him when no one else did. Above the noise of the marketplace, in a small but tidy and modest house, a scribe lived among parchment and ink. He did not flee the noise. He only kept himself apart. In that town, not everyone could write. So when contracts were made, when soldiers departed, when lovers confessed what they could not say aloud, they came to him. He wrote what others felt, but could not form. Alone, he was unhurried. His thoughts lined up patiently. He erased, rewrote, considered. On parchment, he was certain. But words behave differently when they must be spoken. In conversation, thoughts do not wait their turn, they collide. And he, always searching for the most honest word, often spoke the honest word even when the moment required another. At a town gathering, someone joked lightly. He answered with seriousness, not to correct, but to clarify. The laughter thinned. Someone muttered, "He makes everything heavy." He heard it. Another evening, a grieving man sought comfort. The scribe, meaning kindness, spoke truth about the cost of war. It was accurate. It was untimely. The man turned away. That night, he did not write. He sat in his room, replaying the conversation, as if it were a draft that could be revised. But spoken words do not accept incorrections. He considered leaving the town. Yet each morning, someone knocked. A baker needing terms written clearly. A widow wanting her late husband's last memory preserved. A young girl asking how to phrase a promise. He stayed because someone always needed him to make sure the words could not be mistaken. There was one man who never turned from him. A quiet carpenter. When the scribe spoke too plainly, and the room grew uneasy, the carpenter met his eyes. "You speak what you mean," he would say. "That is not a fault." The carpenter's words lingered, longer than the murmurs did. In time, the scribe understood. He had not misunderstood language. He had only mistaken the moment. He spoke what was true, even when the hour had asked for gentler things. Not everyone welcomed that, but some respected it. He did not soften what he believed, but he learned to let silence come first. He almost answered, then let the words rest. And when he spoke fewer words, and placed them carefully. At the town gathering, laughter broke out again over a passing joke. This time, he did not stiffen. He listened first. And the room did not grow heavy. His writing had always been clear. He had learned to place his words at the proper hour. And between the two, his hand no longer trembled. He still stood between words. Only now, without wavering. Her tower stood upon a wind-struck cliff, where stone met salt and sky. It was built to endure storms. not to dream of distant shores. Within those walls, she had been shaped with precision. Daughter of a house, bearer of alliance, keeper of a lineage she did not choose. Her deep crimson gown fell gracefully to the stone floor. Yet she often felt its invisible stitching pull tightathon any cord. Her chamber was not lavish, only orderly. Near her bed stood a carved chest, a narrow desk with a single quill, windows opening toward the distant horizon, where the sea meets the fading sky. Everything in its proper place. Everything already decided. Each evening, she stood at the narrow window, watching the horizon dissolve into silver light. It was not land she longed for, but the space beyond certainty. As dusk settled, only the waves broke against the lifts beneath. It pressed softly against the stone, as if listening. In that quiet, she could hear her own breathing. Steady, but not entirely hers. Beneath her bed lay a small parchment map. The sea was painted in patient ultramarine strokes. The far shore remained unmarked. The sea offered no promises. It did not whisper of freedom. It only asked, in the language of waves, who she might be, beyond inherited names. She never answered. Not because she feared it, but because she had only ever spoken in the language of duty. In the corner of her chamber stood a polished metal mirror. It reflected a composed, noble lady. Beneath that image lingered something, unnamed and restless. Her father spoke gently of marriage and strengthened borders. She listened with lowered eyes. Obedience required no courage. Later that evening, a small ring rested upon the table. Its ring was modest. Its meaning was not. She touched it once. Not to claim it, but to feel its cool certainty. It felt heavier than gold. One night, the wind shifted southward. It was warmer than before. It carried salt and distant cries. Like a memory she had yet to live. Her hand trembled. Before she realized, it was not from cold. At dawn, she descended the spiral stairs, without proclamation. The air grew saltier with every step. The ancient stone beneath her hand felt indifferent to lineage and law. It had endured many names before hers. Beneath the morning sky, the shore lay pale. No guards barred her path. The tide moved, as it always had, neither welcoming nor warning. A small wooden boat floated quietly beyond the edge of foam, rising and falling with the slow breath of the sea. It bore no crest, no banner, no command. It simply remained there, upon the water, waiting without urgency. The tide moved. The morning light grew brighter. And the boat did not move. The watchman stepped onto the wall after the sun had fully set. His duty always began at the same hour. Below him, the town prepared for sleep. Windows dimmed one by one. The quiet spread slowly, like a blanket pulled over the streets. He checked his old lantern. Whether the oil was enough, whether the flame held steady. Tonight, it felt slightly heavier in his hand. He began his patrol near the gate. Making sure it was locked was the first rule. He tugged once more, out of habit rather than doubt. A chill wind passed over his head. North wind tonight, he thought. It carried the faint scent of distant fields. He listened for the small sounds of night. A stray animal, a late traveler, or simply the wind. Silence, too, was a kind of sound he had learned to hear. At the far end of the wall, he paused briefly. From here, he could see the whole town. It reminded him that every quiet home was part of his watch. He had always been the one to guard the silence of this town. He recalled a rumor he'd overheard at the market. Talk of a thief nearby. Keep your lamps low at night, he had advised. Most people listened, even if they pretended not to. Between the clustered houses, the town felt utterly still. He liked this hour. It felt as though the world paused, just long enough for him to breathe. A faint light glowed from the high church window. He had once seen a monk praying there at night. The memory returned to him, like a soft ember of warmth. A lone dog wandered beneath the wall, its steps lost in the night. Only when the lantern's light brushed it, did its shape briefly appear. A traveler passed nearby. The watchman lifted his lantern, lighting the traveler's way. No words were exchanged, but the small gesture felt enough for both. When the footsteps faded, he was alone once more. Most nights were like this. He had grown comfortable with the company of solitude. He sat at the entrance of the last stretch of the wall, checking his lantern again. The oil was still enough. He preferred certainty over surprise. At the wall's edge, he stood still for a moment, listening to the town's soft, sleeping breath. The quiet felt almost like a presence beside him. He continued walking, unhurried, unwavering. His quiet hours were not yet over. And, as always, he kept those hours faithfully. In a quiet village, where everyone knew each other, there lived a young man who feared being forgotten more than being alone. So he laughed too loudly, spoke too quickly, and tried to place himself where eyes would fall easily. People were kind, but their kindness was shallow, like water that touched the shore and immediately slipped away. Even when he joined a gathering, no place felt truly his. People spoke beside him, around him, across him, as if the space he occupied could be filled by anyone without much notice. Only the old lantern maker watched the young man carefully, noticing his restlessness as others overlooked it. One dusk, he beckoned to the boy. "Help me trim the wicks," he said. It was not a request, but a gentle nudge. Among half-built lanterns, and the scent of warm oil, the young man felt something unfamiliar. Silence that did not push him away. "Tell me," the lantern maker said, "why do you need every glance?" The young man could not answer. Inside, he wanted to confess. "Because if no one sees me, I don't know if I truly exist." But his voice never rose. The old man placed a dim lantern in his hands. "Light does not rush," he said. "It waits, and those who need it find it in their time." That night, the young man walked home slowly, lantern in hand, its small flame trembling, but refusing to vanish. The next day, he laughed a little softer, spoke a little later, and no longer placed himself where the crowd was thickest. And slowly, people began to notice him in ways he had never expected. Not because he demanded space, but because he finally left room. When he returned to the workshop, the old man simply nodded. "You shine more now," he said. "Not because you try, but because you stay." Sometimes, they worked side by side, trimming wicks, repairing old frames. Few words passed between them. None were needed. At night, a single lantern burned in the boy's window. Not bright, not dim, simply steady. And that was enough. Some villagers later said they never realized how warm his presence was until he stopped trying to prove it. The wise man walked into the forest at dawn, seeking a quiet place to think. He expected solitude, not conversation. Then he saw a goat in the forest. It was simply grazing quietly by itself. The wise man felt strangely compelled to approach. He bowed politely. "Greetings, thoughtful creature," he said. The goat blinked once, neither surprised nor impressed. What truth do you ponder this morning? The wise man asked with sincere curiosity. The goat answered with perfect silence. The wise man gasped softly. A deep truth indeed. Silence as the root of wisdom. The goat merely yawned. He tried again. What is the nature of suffering? Still, the goat offered no sound whatsoever. Ah, suffering is beyond words, he whispered reverently. He wrote the words on the parchment. The goat merely stared blankly at him. The goat stared at the wise man with calm indifference. Its eyes held no philosophy, just goat. But the wise man believed. He saw entire worlds in them. The goat quietly lay down on the grass. The sound was nothing more than a soft rustle. To the wise man, it sounded like acceptance. Truthfully, he said, I came seeking answers, but found only noise within myself. The goat blinked again, slowly. What should a man do, he continued, when his own heart refuses to be still? The goat nodded its head as if bored. The wise man took the gesture very seriously. Avoid overthinking. Of course, thank you. Meanwhile, the goat simply watched a bug pass by. Both man and goat sat quietly for a while. The forest felt peaceful, as though listening with them. The wise man breathed out, lighter than before. I have learned much today, he said earnestly. You are a remarkable teacher. The goat didn't react at all. As the wise man walked away, the goat let out a tiny, exhausted sigh. It was the first sound it had made all morning. The forest remained quiet, but something like gentle laughter seemed to linger between the trees. At dawn, a quiet wind crawled across the empty road. The villagers noticed a lone figure standing at the boundary. She carried no belongings, only the breeze that clung to her. The gypsy woman stood on a small rise, perfectly still. Only her hair stirred quietly in the wind. Yet the wind behaved as if she were its anchor. A young boy stepped closer, driven by quiet fascination. Lady, why does the wind follow you? he asked softly. The woman only tilted her head, listening rather than speaking. A thin curve of wind brushed past her lips. It looked almost like a note written in the air. The boy held his breath, as if hearing a secret. Finally, she spoke in a voice soft as dust. The wind sings long before we notice. Her words drifted away, almost as soon as they formed. Then, what is it singing now? The boy's voice trembled with hope. The woman closed her eyes briefly. It sings of paths not yet taken, she murmured. Of feet hesitating at crossroads. The wind curled around her skirt, like a patient animal. The wind shifted direction suddenly, tugging at her sleeves. She looked north, as if someone had called her name. Then she began to sing softly into the wind. Will you come back? The boy asked quickly. He wasn't sure why he cared, only that he did. She raised her hand, letting the wind brush past her palm. No words followed, only a quiet gesture of listening. The boy understood it was the only answer she could give. As she walked away, the wind followed her obediently. The road behind her grew still, emptied of its song. The boy felt the sudden silence more than the departure. Her silhouette faded into the pale glow of sunset. Only the faintest trail of swirling air marked her passing. It lingered like a quiet promise. Much later, the winds brushed past the boy, soft and knowing. They carried no voice, yet felt strangely familiar. He smiled, certain she had heard something worth returning to. In a small village surrounded by fields and low hills, a child lived with his mother in a quiet wooden house. Each morning, the light entered gently through the window, and the village slowly woke, with the sound of distant footsteps. The child often thought about life. He watched the villagers pass by the house, and wondered why some looked peaceful, while others always seemed burdened. One morning, while the smell of fresh bread filled the room, the child turned to his mother and asked, "Mother, what makes a life good?" His mother did not answer right away. She simply pushed the bread dough into the oven and prepared breakfast. They sat quietly at the table, eating bread together. The bread was warm, and through the open door, the fresh morning air carried the scent of grass. Later that day, they walked together through the fields. The sun climbed higher, and the path stretched gently between rows of wheat. A sudden wind swept across the hills. The child shivered slightly. Without saying a word, his mother took the cloak she had with her and placed it around the boy's shoulders. As they walked, the child still carried the same question in his mind. When evening arrived, they slowly returned to their small house. The sky was already turning soft and blue. They shared a simple supper. No one hurried. No one spoke much. Outside, the village slowly grew quiet. Lanterns dimmed one by one as night settled over the hills. Before the child slept, his mother quietly laid out a blanket for him. Half asleep, the child murmured, "Mother, you never answered my question." His mother smiled softly in the dark. "We already lived it today," she said. "Eat when you are hungry. Wear what keeps you warm. Sleep when the day is done. If you remember these things, life will not trouble you very much." Many years later, the child had grown into a quiet man. People sometimes asked him how he lived so calmly while the world seemed full of worries. He would simply smile and continue his day, eating when he was hungry, wearing what kept him warm, and sleeping when the night was quiet. Far beyond the usual sea routes stood a small island of bare rock and wind. No trees grew there, only the endless breath of the sea. At the highest point of the island stood a small monastery. Its walls were worn by salt and time. Only one monk lived there. He had come many years ago and never left. He wore a black garment, marked with many small crosses. The cloth moved quietly in the sea wind. At dawn, he rose, before the sea turned blue. The island was still grey with sleep. He stood facing the horizon and began the first prayer of the day. His voice was softer than the wind. The wind moved across the island like a quiet messenger. It passed through stone and sea without stopping. Once each morning, a small bell rang from the tower. Its sound traveled across the empty sea. The monk prayed for the cities he had never seen, for towers, streets, and distant homes. He prayed for strangers whose names he would never know, for their hunger, their fears, and their long journeys. Ships crossed distant waters. Markets opened in crowded streets. The monk never saw any of it. Yet he carried it all in prayer. When the sun lowered into the sea, he lit a single candle. The small flame trembled in the wind. He prayed again, for the same world he had never met, for its sorrows and its quiet hopes. Night returned to the island. The wind continued its endless hymn. Stars appeared above the dark sea. In a small stone room, the monk whispered one last prayer. The candle burned beside him. No one on the mainland knew that somewhere in the dark sea, a monk was still praying for them. Night after night,